Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another exciting tracking mission here on the Rietspruit Game Reserve. Myself, Gareth Poole, out here with you this morning, and we've got Matt on camera with us. Very excited to get started once again. Early bells out here and see who we can find. We're hoping to obviously track and find something on foot with you all this morning, but it'll be a combination of moving around in the vehicle, looking for the tracks, potentially spending a bit of time on foot and following the tracks that we do come across. Now, we know that the Pride of Lions were not too far from our camp yesterday evening, so I'm heading out to go and see if I can find any tracks of them and try and track down the Pride. But straight out the gates here, found a very interesting set of tracks. An animal that is certainly one that is a little bit more nerve-wracking when you find it on foot. And you can see the tracks of a black rhino that walked along the road here. Now, don't be fooled by the dung, because this dung here actually belongs to a white rhino. But if you have a look at this track over here, which I stood right next to, by the way, that's my footprint, you can see that clearly an antlion has formed its little trap inside this black rhino's track. So that's one of the things that I'll use to age the tracks. I would imagine that this rhino probably walked through here a couple of hours ago. These antlions are usually mostly active at first light, and you can clearly see that black rhino's beautiful track up front here again. Really so much smaller than that of a white rhino, and also the shape of the toes quite different. Now, like I say, everybody, a couple hours ago this black rhino walked along here, but we'll keep heading a similar direction that this animal's moving, and you never know, we might find some fresher tracks that we could potentially follow. But it is a nerve-wracking thing being on foot with a black rhino. As long as you know what you're doing, you will be okay though. And while I was stopped here looking at these tracks, we've got an awesome shot of some giraffe which are just up the road here as well, which I think might be going to drink at the reservoir up there. Very cool. Beautifully silhouetted in the morning sunrise here. But as I mentioned, we are really hoping to try and track down the Pride for everybody this morning. And Kevin is out looking for them as well this morning. He did find some tracks pretty close to where I left them yesterday. And so we're going to head up there and see if we can give Kevin a hand in trying to track them down. But along the way, we'll see what other tracks we come across. Really try and focus on the tracking element on this safari this morning. Try and point out the things that I know about tracks that I use to track animals. The information that comes just from a set of tracks. That's what I love about the mornings. You know, there's a new fresh set of tracks every single morning, particularly of course when it comes to predators. And speaking of predators, there's a set of tracks here which are also really cool. This is an animal we very rarely get to see here on the Rietspruit Game Reserve, unfortunately. You can clearly see here these prints, these paw prints that are walking along the road here. Now, these tracks belong to the hyena, the spotted hyena. And the biggest way to tell the difference between a hyena and one of your other true cats, your bigger cats like lion, leopard, is this heel. Right here is very distinctive of the hyena. Hyenas have only got two big lobes at the base of their track, or rather the base of their heel. Whereas your big cats, lion and leopard, and cheetah too, they've got three lobes like that at the base of their heel. And because of the hyena's gait, they also often put that, or their track registers almost at a 45-degree angle on the base of the heel. Now, it's quite difficult to see it in this very soft sand, but hyenas also leave their claws register at the top of the toe. Remember, hyenas have only got semi-retractable claws, So their little claws stick out at the end of their toes, and you'll actually see that sometimes in the track, a little bit harder in the soft sand. But when it comes to lion and leopard, they've got those fully retractable claws. So their claws pull back when they're walking, and they don't register claw marks in front of the toes. Yeah, it would be so cool to see a hyena. It's been so long. So again, most likely that hyena was walking along here sometime last night. Probably not active anymore. Predominantly a nocturnal animal. So the black rhino's tracks that we had earlier went into this block of land on our left, and that animal was heading north. Now there is water about 3/4 of a mile, maybe half a mile up the road here. You never know, might have gone to drink there. But I also wanted to come up along here and see if we didn't have any luck finding white rhino tracks as well as the prides. White rhino are an animal that are certainly a lot easier to track and find on foot, mainly because they are not as shy as the black rhino. The black rhino hears just the slightest sound, a twig break, and they are off to the races. They just disappear. White rhino are not as nervous. Of course, oh, there's some lion tracks right here. Interesting. And it looks like the males. That's a nice find. Look at that, everybody. You can clearly see the tracks of what looks like a single male lion walking up along the road here. Look pretty fresh as well. We'll just go a little bit further along the road and see if we can see more tracks of the lions and see if there's any evidence of other animals that have walked over their tracks that can maybe help me identify the age of the track. Look at these tracks here again. Definitely tracks of a lioness here as well. You look at the size difference of the track. So that's a lioness over there. That looks like one of the males that's walking there. Now, in the male lion coalition at the moment here on the Rietspruit Game Reserve, one of the males is injured. and has been spending more of his time actually following the pride in hoping that he'll get a free meal with the pride. I suspect it might be him that was trying to catch up to the pride here. Now Kevin has reported seeing tracks a bit further along this very road that we're on here this morning. So I'm almost certain, that'll be the fresher set of tracks a bit further up the road there. Just trying to see if there's, like I mentioned before, any other insects, birds, mammals that may have walked over the lion's tracks, but I can't see any yet. This is always a good sign. It means the set of tracks you have are quite fresh. Just peering into the brush here to our left just to make sure we're not going past this black rhino. How spoilt we are to be on a reserve like this amazing Rietspruit, where we can be tracking lions and know that there's probably a black rhino close by. The elephants, by the way, we were also hoping to maybe track and find elephant on foot, but we did find their tracks right outside camp, and they're currently feeding in this riverbed at the moment, the elephants, but it's in an area that is so incredibly dense with trees. It would be firstly dangerous to go walking in there on foot, but also wouldn't produce much in terms of a sighting, being able to actually view those animals in that very dense woodland. So we're just going to leave them be this morning. Might catch up with them on another one of these exciting track and find missions. It appears that black rhino has returned to the road here, everybody. Although it looks like it was briefly. It's walking along here. Also no longer see the tracks of the lions. This black rhino turned here. I'm just busy looking at this acacia tree here to see if he didn't maybe take a snack with him. This is one of the trees they will feed on. Ah, here we go. Matt, I don't know if you can zoom in and get this here. So, as I was saying, you know, these black rhino will often feed on these acacia trees. And so that black rhino left the road and on his way has fed on this acacia right here, which is amazing to see. You can actually see where it's cut these little branches off at a 45-degree angle. Because of the structure of a black rhino's teeth, its molars cut the branches off at a 45. And he's basically just taken a big clump of this acacia in his mouth and carried on walking. You can still see the tracks going along this game path here, but we'll just stick to the road, everybody. I don't want to spend too much time trying to track and find a black rhino that I know is going to generally be quite skittish. We've got more luck in trying to find a white rhino, but you never know. Could be somewhere close by here, this black rhino, potentially still heading up towards Seskankrip, this little waterhole where they often drink. We'll just take a drive up to that waterhole and see. Possibly had a drink there. Awesome though to have found the signs where this black rhino did feed here just next to the road. Kevin for Gareth. What's the update on the tracks there?
I haven't started following you, but I've been listening and catching up, so I'm about to start shortly, but you just keep coming along and see what you pick up and where you pick them up from Seskan side.
Okay, copy. Yeah, there was a set of what looks like a male and a female very close to Lemundering that headed north, but I've lost the tracks from there. So I'm sure it's the same ones you have up there.
There's some other zebra tracks and things around as well, but I'll have a look shortly to see if it's the whole pride or less than the total.
Copy that. So you can obviously hear, folks, I'm just chatting with Kevin, one of the homeowners here, and of course Brent's father. He found the tracks of some lions up near this waterhole, and he hasn't really followed the tracks. He's been parked off just waiting to potentially hear the lions roaring or hear alarm calls in the area. So he's been switched off for the last half an hour and hasn't heard anything yet. We're just going to head up there and go follow those tracks. Lioness tracks here again. pretty cool. You can see the tracks moving along the road here.
Okay, copy that. Thanks, Kevin. We're coming along from Lodge Pan side.
Now, the Pride is a Pride of 6 and looks like potentially a male with them. Yet we're only really seeing tracks of 1 or 2 individuals walking along the road here. So, because there's only tracks of 1 or 2, we can automatically assume that the Pride had split up to some degree, and it could be for a number of reasons. It could be them hunting. It could also be that maybe it's one of the males that's separated a female from the Pride and might be trying to court her. Or it could just be that this male and this female were separated whilst hunting and are now heading back up towards where the rest of the Pride are. Haven't seen any further tracks of that black rhino returning to the road, so still feeding somewhere here in the tree line to our right. We are now very close to the waterhole. The lions were lying down here. Look at this, everybody. You can clearly see the disturbance in the swirl on the road here. And if you have a look here, this is quite cool. You see this mark here? That's a lion's tail. If you look very closely, what's also amazing is you can actually see the little lines that were formed by the thick coarse hair of the lion's tail, and obviously a thick track which then narrows towards the end, and this is where that lion would have been twisting its tail quite a bit, the tip of the tail being on this end. You can see some of the tracks here as well. Again, this is a bit of the tail. Here's a nice paw print right here. Really big paw print, massive one here of the male. And you can also then see how the soil is stained here. So urinated here while they were resting here. Probably sometime last night. This wet patch has dried up quite a bit, but you can see urinated, then got up and moved. You can see this paw print of this lion on top of that urine stain. It's interesting, this lion then turned around and went back that way. met up here. So clearly now a set of tracks that come from the waterhole back toward us here, and the lions that were moving north up the road have met with one lioness that was walking south along the road here. But then there are a set of tracks that do continue along the road going north as well. And you see how those tracks came from that side of the road across the road here, just to the left of my footprint. And they went right up against this bush here. It looks like the male that was scent marking here. Males do a lot of scent marking, whereas lionesses not all that much. Scent marked up against that bush and continued along the road here. Look at the size of this track. Nice big male print there. Right, let's get back to the vehicle and move further up ahead, everybody. Well, the lions aren't doing us any favours this morning because they are not vocalising. That's always an easy way to locate the lions, of course, when they start roaring. It speeds up the process quite a bit. But it's amazing, these lions will remain quiet when they don't want to be found, and not necessarily by us, but by other lions. I still think that it might just be only the one male lion that's here with the pride. And if one male has found the pride and the other two haven't yet, he'll often remain quiet because he wants the girls all to himself, and he also wants the meal. If they do successfully kill something, he wants the meal all to himself as well.
Hard to work out if there's one clearly going up one side of the road, others coming back down the other, and sweeping around there as well, but it doesn't look like the whole pride.
Yeah, Kevin, the same here on Seskant, just south of the Krip. You can see where one male met up with a couple of the females and they were lying down on the road here. But then it does look like they go north from there. So Kevin's just reporting pretty much the same thing that we've discovered back here, that there's tracks of these lions going all over the place, different directions here. So I just want to quickly have a look and see if there's any signs of them drinking here. Definitely a spotted hyena that came to drink here.
On a balance of probability, probably ended up towards Seskant.
Copy. There's definitely tracks of one male lion. Okay, came past, had a drink. The black rhino, however, hasn't come to drink here yet. No white rhino either. No fresh tracks of white rhino yet. Lions are making us work for it this morning. But I love that. I love the challenge. My gut's starting to tell me now that where those lions lay down back there, and where there's a set of tracks going south, that could be where these lions have headed off to. Because at the waterhole there's only tracks of the male lion that came to drink there. There's no tracks of the pride there. So I think he had a drink and then bumped into that lioness or lionesses where we found where they lay down on the road there. They lay down together and then have headed off again. Just want to quickly move up the road here though, everybody, and just go have a look at the set of tracks that Kevin reported and just see if we can pick up a bit more information from those tracks. But we may need to go back to where they lay down on the road there. Where exactly are you now, Kevin?
Between the two links to Rietspruit West. So the one that's just where the red soils are and the one that goes to Dugeni.
Okay, copy. I'll be with you shortly.
Shall I check Rietspruit West?
Yeah, I think so, because I didn't notice the tracks in that sort of rocky section with the red soils, and I've got them just after that.
There we go.
There they definitely, there's this one heading north, but, sorry, heading south, but now they're all over the place.
I'm at the junction with Kudu. I'm just going to get on to the tracks here.
Right. this is where the pride came out of the block, everybody. You can now see tracks of a number of these lionesses coming onto the road here. Yeah. Yeah. Now these could be quite old, eh? Some hyena tracks on top of. Yeah. Well, them did, and a male. The male drank his cunt, then went south and lay down on the road with what looks like one of the lionesses, just south of Seskant. Yeah. They're going to probably be on Leadwood. And you didn't see any signs?
Well, Sandy's just said she's picked up something now there. It could be. Because at that rocky section there, I couldn't see any tracks there.
Mm.
So there was the track is definitely coming this way.
Yeah. I see one went in here. Along that game path there. Probably across to Kudu. Okay. Man, I love my job. Just having a chat with Kevin there about.
They cut towards Seskant through the block.
About all of these lion tracks all over the road here. The lions were all over the place, everybody. Moving in different directions.
These tracks don't go down Kudu, they leave Kudu and look as if they head towards Seskant.
Now there's a third party who's got involved with us this morning, and that would be Sandy, another one of the Leadwood homeowners. She's also out trying to find the lions, and has a set of tracks one road over, which is where I'm heading to now, everybody, to go and have a look at those tracks. Perfect. Is Sandy reporting those tracks on Kudu? Okay.
I've got tracks back on the road now. I'm keeping heading south on Kudu.
So there you go. You can see the tracks here on the road, everybody. There's a set of tracks going up and down here, but you can see the tracks of the pride here. And what's great to know now is that it looks like the bulk of the pride are here. We're definitely seeing at least 3 or 4 lionesses that are moving along the road here. You'll see them continuing up the road. Must say there's nothing better than seeing a whole big pride set of tracks on the road like this. It's so exciting. You just never know. You could come around the next bend and find them all just resting on the road or even walking along the road toward us. Now what we have noticed, myself and Kevin, is there's a number of tracks of civet and hyena on top of the lion's tracks. So we think that these tracks could be from early last night. Civet and hyena being nocturnal animals, they have walked on top of these lion's tracks sometime in the middle of last night, potentially even early hours of the morning, but while it was still dark. which means these lions tracks are from before that and are a couple hours old already. Lay down here, briefly lay down on the road here. You can again clearly see the big disturbance in the soil, and then clearly see the lion's tracks either side of that disturbance where it lay down. Lions are incredibly stop-start when they're moving. They lie down often. Sometimes just to wait for members that might have split off, but sometimes just to rest before moving again. Sandy for Gareth.
Standing by.
Where are the tracks that you have at the moment?
I'm on Karoo, heading south. Haven't got to the Rietspruit junction yet. And there's just a single track heading south. I'm just trying to keep with it.
Copy. So no more tracks on the road here, everybody. I think this pride from here cut further east, and Sandy has reported a set of tracks on the road that runs parallel to us here. Just going to get across now to those tracks. Now, as I said before, you know, there's signs of nocturnal animals that have walked on top of the lion's tracks. So these tracks that we're currently working on are a couple hours old, and so potentially these lionesses could be 2-3 miles away from where we're currently working. So we'll want to try and move as quickly as we can, but making sure, of course, that we don't lose sight of the tracks. What you often find you'll do is you'll sort of try, predict or preempt where these animals may have moved to, and so you'll go and check, you know, a water hole or the next road over, which is great, but sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, because you obviously leave the last set of tracks that you had going on that hunch, and you lose a lot of time if your hunch was wrong. And at this time of the morning, this pride could still very well be on the move, searching for prey. Koala just running out of the block on our right here. Now, impala is certainly one of the species that lions will hunt. There you can see, I think this is the track that Sandy reported. Certainly a track of one lioness that came along the road here. Looks like a male's with her as well. Interesting. So, I must be honest, I'm quite surprised that the males did find this pride. The males were 4 miles due east of them last night. Amazing how quickly they can find these lionesses.
So the tracks take the gat towards Westkankut.
So Sandy's now reporting that the tracks she was following, which are the same tracks we have here, did end up going to the waterhole. The waterhole that we were at before. So now, having learned from what Sandy's reported that the tracks here have gone back to the water, it might be that where we found those animals lying down is the right starting point, or the most recent point. Seems like all the tracks did a big circle and went back there. So what I'm going to do now, everybody, is I'm going to expand our search a little bit. I'm going to do the roads that circle where the lions lay down on the road. Just do a big circle and see if I can find any further tracks of them going out from that point. I'm busy listening to the radio, and my colleagues are saying they have no idea. They have no idea which direction these lions have gone. So yeah, they are certainly making everybody work for it this morning. So like I say, everybody, I think if we expand our search a little bit, we might have a bit more success in finding a better direction of where the rest of the pride have moved. Last tracks, however, of the pride are behind us, heading in a northerly direction. So they may have potentially gone back to Leadwood. I'm just going to do a quick loop and see if they didn't go a bit further east from where they were lying down on the road back there. Such a gorgeous morning. Can definitely feel the temperatures starting to climb a little bit. Which will mean that the pride will eventually settle as it gets a bit warmer. So that will help us in that obviously they'll stop moving.
Have those mail tracks.
Kudu, heading south, turn to Vitgat and towards Eskom Klip, and then I lost the tracks at the Klip.
I just wonder if the females have come on and after you got to first country, you heard him and came the other way, but which to suggest that between the Kudu and first country.
Right, so where we are now is pretty much directly opposite where those signs were of the lions that lay down on the road, where we could see the clear tail mark where the tail had been swishing on the road. And if they had gone east, we're probably going to find tracks pretty soon, somewhere along here. Now, if we don't find any tracks here, then we go back to that point, and that's where we start again. we go. I did go east. The tracks are here, everybody. So I can clearly now see at least 2 or 3 members of the pride walking along here. So one track there, one track there. More tracks here. So I think we were right. They've had a run-in with that male back there and met up, had a bit of an interaction, and then have pushed on further east. So we'll just keep going along here, guys. They're heading towards another little water hole, which they do often go drink at, which is not too far from here. Tracks come out on Kudu Site, heading southeast towards Sunsloot Pad, so probably towards Kudu Krip.
Okay, copy.
You can see the tracks nicely here. Again, everybody, looks like most of the pride have come back to the road here. Now, I'm not sure if the male is still with them. I haven't seen male lion tracks along the road here, just the lionesses. You never know, that might be why there's tracks all over the place. Maybe there was a bit of an altercation with the male, but ultimately we know that the pride do not like the presence of the male with them, particularly because he steals whatever they do kill, and so maybe they've given him the slip. Interesting to see what they did here now at this next big intersection here, but most likely just go straight over towards the little waterhole I was talking about. That's exactly what it looks like happened. Just make sure of that fact. Interesting, it looks like there's only 3 lionesses here. You can clearly see the disturbance here. One of them lay down here. Now, we've seen this before where the pride splits up. A couple of weeks ago, 3 of the lionesses were one side of the reserve and the other 3 the other. So what does sometimes happen is they actually lose one another when they're hunting, or when there's altercations with the males, they get split up as well. But they'll always eventually rejoin. You know, pride doesn't stay separated for very long. Their strength is in their numbers. They have an incredibly strong social bond. And so they'll always try and reconnect with one another eventually. But it was probably just over a week the last time they were separated. Just approaching the waterhole now, everybody. Just up ahead here. Lions could be here, but you never know. Could be anything here. There was a female leopard spotted here last night at this waterhole. And if she's got a kill nearby, she might come back and drink here again. There's a little duiker that's darting around behind the waterhole here, so definitely no cats here right now. Don't think that duiker would be so happily dancing around if there was a lion or a leopard sitting there. Just going to quickly hop off and see what the lions did. Their tracks are here. Yeah, tracks do continue past the waterhole. One of them went up and had a drink, but then they carried on. Come on, lions. I was just saying to Maddie now, I have a hunch that there might be at this beautiful, massive waterhole down here in the south of the reserve called Leopard Dam or Leopard Dam. You can still see their tracks. Looks like they go straight across here in that direction. Tracks head south from Kudu Krip towards Pompat. No tracks here. The lions might have just taken a shortcut through here. Just make sure they didn't go further to the west. They sometimes cut across here They've successfully hunted along this little drainage line, this dry riverbed, which runs all the way back up to this big waterhole I've just told you all about. It doesn't look like they did that today though. I think they've just taken a shortcut. Interesting. I would have expected to have seen their tracks again already. That female leopard that drank at that waterhole last night came down here as well, everybody. Maybe we'll find both cats this morning. Oh, she certainly loves this little drainage line, that leopard. She walked up there. That drainage line, as I mentioned before, leads straight to the large waterhole, to Lowveld Dam. Still no tracks of these lions, but my gut tells me they have cut across here, but they probably just went across the drainage line. We'll just check the road a bit further up ahead. But yeah, that leopard walked straight up the riverbed here. So you see, this is what I was talking about before, where you predict the lions to come out and they haven't done that at all. Just being wild lions, keeping us guessing. Just quickly go up along here. Ah, there we go. I think that's them. Yeah, here they come here. Okay, so not at Lowveld Dam today. Sure. The tracks went straight across the road here. So potentially hunting. When lions no longer walk along the road like they have been doing the whole morning, and they're just cutting straight across, you often find that it's because they're stalking prey. They'll walk along the roads until the point where they either hear prey, see their prey, or smell their prey, and then of course will just deviate. And that's probably why we lost the tracks back there. These lionesses were following something here. This area, there's an abundance of inyala and kudu, as well as zebra as you get a bit further higher up on the crest. It could be one of those species. It could be one of those species that these lions were hunting here. Now it's always a gamble. Do we follow the tracks where these lionesses went into the bush here? Or do we maybe go around and check the next road over that runs parallel to where we're sitting right now and potentially find their tracks on the other side? My gut tells me we should probably go check the next road, purely because I think these tracks are still from sometime last night.
The south of Rietspruit, and that the tracks were heading south from there.
The only issue here is this is one of the largest blocks of land on the entire game reserve where these lions have gone into. But you never know, they might go in and come back to the road here if they were unsuccessful in whatever they were stalking. Yeah, it looks like tracks of only 3 lionesses in this area here. They cut east into the block, south of Pompat, east of Lowveld Dampat, into that very big block. I think I've just seen a lion track on the road here, everybody, which is good news. So they might have come out. Yes, indeed. Very good, very good. I'm glad they didn't stay in that massive block. Tracks are back on the road here, everybody, of these 3 lionesses. See the tracks again quite nicely down here. So we're still on the right track. from here, the next likely point that they may have headed towards would be again another little water hole, which is up near a little camp called Boskamp, up on the ridge here. And that's interesting, I haven't even seen that, but that looks like one of these lionesses deposited some tiny little pellets of poop here. If it is them, there's a lot of different sets of tracks here. Not convinced that that's the lions. Quite hard already as well. A little bit of hair in there. Amazing how these little beetles have already got to it. So you can clearly see these other little tracks here, which I thought it might have been. I thought it might have been a civet, but it's definitely not civet scat. Could be one of the lionesses. It's the right sort of shape. It's just very small. But that could also mean that it's just that animal's gut wasn't very full. But it is quite fresh, that scat. But when I say fresh, not from this morning. Sort of late last night, early morning is when that scat is from. Our tracks are back on, I think it's Pompat, close to Pipe Lane, heading east towards Boskamp Pad.
Copy, I'm on the Patem, coming that way to help you.
Incredible to see the amount of ground that these lions cover in a night. Still got tracks on the road here. It does look like the whole pride has actually come back together here at this point. Several of the lionesses walked up the road to our right, and at least one of them walked along here. It looks like this one here might have turned towards the rest of the pride. One lioness did go straight up there to the water hole. There's another one here. Yep. Kevin for Gareth.
Stand by.
I'm not looking for you. Kevin for Gareth. Right, so tracks continue straight up to this little water hole, everybody, which is in front of the landowner's camp. Just really hope that there's no one in camp right now. I don't think the homeowners are here at the moment. Usually we would avoid this area if they were in camp. See now, there's a whole bunch of impala around here. Which again tells me that the lions have come and gone from this point. Maybe they're at Sekwe Dam, the Hippo Dam, which is further to the east of us. Tracks are still here, and they go straight up towards the little camp.
Yeah, that's where you're calling me.
I was, but not to worry, thanks Kevin. The tracks are here at Boskamp. They walked straight through the camp. Looks like heading east.
Okay, copied.
So just gonna go have a look on the other side of camp here. There's a big road, prominent road that the lions often use from this point, and head down to the next water hole. Now it's not just water that these lions are after, in fact quite the opposite. The reason they come to these water holes is because they know that other antelope like the impala we saw before will be attracted to said water, and they're coming up here hoping to hunt them. There's tracks here. Man, these girls covered ground. Okay, so they didn't take their favourite route to the next waterhole. They've changed direction again. Just going to go back. Have a look on the other side of camp here. Here we go. So they, as mentioned, everybody have changed direction. Now heading straight south again. You clearly see the tracks along the road here. Alrighty. Search continues. Looks like they lay on the road here. Not so much lay on the road, but more crossed the road at this point. They've gone in here. One lioness went in there, another lioness went in here, so that's 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, the whole pride together again here. Back where we started, do we follow the tracks from here? Or do we jump over to the next road? I think let's roll the dice again and jump over to the next road, everybody. Now they may still be heading towards Siekwe Dam, Hippo Dam. It's still a good distance from here, about 1.5 miles, 2 miles. But they could have already made up that distance this morning. But there, once again, there's another big road that runs parallel to us here. We'll just go have a look, see if their tracks come out there. So it'll be somewhere on this next crest in front of us here, where I would imagine they would have come out if they came out. Just taking it nice and slow once again, everybody, making sure we don't miss the tracks here. With their general direction from the last set of tracks, it should be somewhere very close by here now where they would have come out. Now if they haven't come out here, that means they might be somewhere in this block. There we go. And as I say that, here are their tracks again. Pride on a mission, that's for sure. Just love it though. It's so exciting following their tracks like this. And the reward, if we do find them, is just epic. This road, as you can see, everyone is going downhill, and at the bottom in the ravine here is a very prominent dry riverbed which feeds towards Hippo Dam, and very often I've found the signs of this pride using that same dry riverbed to get down towards the dam. It's also a great spot just to rest up in during the day, in the heat of the day. Down in these riverbeds the temperature is much lower than the surrounding areas. Lots of big jackalberry and weeping bourbon trees that line the banks of that riverbed, which provide incredible shade for the lionesses. Potentially where they are right now is sleeping in this riverbed. Temperature has climbed quite substantially already. Oh dear, I think the lions have left the road again. See one set of tracks there. I don't know how fresh that set were though. Just busy watching some birds of prey up here. A vulture and a yellow-billed kite that are busy circling. More coming in up here. Now what does happen at this time of the morning is you start getting, because the temperature is rising, you get heat thermals that rise off the Earth's surface. And it's at this time that a lot of your large birds of prey, like the vultures, particularly the vultures, will go and search for these thermals and actually ride these thermals up to the heights that they like to fly at in order to search for carcasses. But of course, while we're tracking lions, you always wonder, have the lions maybe killed something and the birds have found it? So we'll just keep an eye on that. I have lost the tracks of the pride though. They've gone in somewhere here. And I'm sure we'll get back on them pretty soon. Right everybody, so I've just returned back to where we were, from where the vultures were now. Just a couple hundred yards up the road to where I last saw tracks, some tracks here. And I must have missed them before, because I think they've taken this road that runs off in a southwesterly direction. Yeah, exactly. They've walked down here. So probably unrelated to those vultures. I reckon those vultures are thermaling, just searching for thermals. But the pride are changing their direction slightly and not heading back towards Hippo Dam, at least not yet, by the looks of things. I reckon they definitely were hunting though. Come on, we gotta find them. Oh dear. Oh, we got them. We've got them, guys. They're here. The pride's here, just in here on the left. Just going to say we've lost the tracks again, but they're just inside here, just to the right of this big weeping boerbean tree. I can see one lioness. It looks like she might be lying up on a termite mound. Yes! Jackpot, everybody. Wow, what a long trek it was this morning, but we've found them. Oh my word, this is so cool. Now, question is, can I get in here? I think I can. We're just going to have to do some pretty gnarly bundu bashing, which of course is generally par for the course when the lions have gone off the road. Okay, I'm going to just stop over here so we can have a quick look at the lionesses. But I don't want to go crashing over these big trees because we might damage the poor little jackal. But there you go, everybody. Massive success. We've located the girls. Incredible. Interesting. I only see 3 lionesses. So where we thought we had all 6 crossing the road before, I might have been wrong. Maybe they just doubled back on themselves there. Definitely only looks like there's 3 lionesses here, everybody. The others might still be catching up or might be resting somewhere else. Oh, that is so cool. What an absolute treat. You can see the one lioness on the far left there is gazing back in the direction that she came from, which makes me think she's waiting for the rest of the pride. Now, up until this point, we originally thought we were only tracking 3 lionesses. There was only that one point a little earlier where I thought all 6 had crossed the road, but like I say, I might have been confused and that maybe it was just them sort of going back and forth across the road there, and why it looked like 6 lionesses tracks. So epic. Right, I'm going to reposition everybody. I'm going to try and find a way in here, see if we can get a bit closer to these lionesses. Watch out behind you there, Matt. Incoming trees. Hold on tight, everybody. Ah, there we go. I can see a 4th lioness, a 5th lioness. They're all here, everybody. They're just putting their heads up now. They were just out of sight, hiding in the long grass behind this big termite mound. But how incredible is that? How beautiful is that picture? Oh my God. These lionesses are just so gorgeous. Unreal. Well, there you go. It just proves we were right with the last set of tracks that crossed that main road. Excuse me. It certainly is the whole pride that have come back together. Stations I've located the pride, they're stationary very close to Luiperd, basically in the block directly east of the junction Luiperd and Nyala link. Copy. What an amazing morning. Certainly a track and triumph. Oh man, I love it. Such a thrill tracking a pride of lions. And the whole story that comes with tracking a pride of lions like we've done this morning. You know, initially we found tracks of a male that had certainly intercepted the pride, it had split the pride up. You know, the tracks were all over the place, but awesome to see where they had laid down on the road, where they'd urinated on the road, and to then later on, you know, only find a set of 3 lionesses tracks which we'd followed for most of the morning, and then just at that last moment found signs of where all 6 crossed the road back there, and to then of course this incredible moment of finding them, eventually finding them, and also now seeing that they're all together here and successfully have ditched the male, which is good for the lionesses. An absolutely brilliant morning. You see the one lioness rolling over now. They're going to start getting quite hot where they are. Out in the sun like that, it really is heating up quite quickly. So I'd imagine it won't be long before they go out and seek some shade. They don't need to go far. Some beautiful trees just behind the termite mound here. A stunning shepherd's tree. And weeping bourbon, which both provide fantastic shade for the girls here today. I'm sure they'll just sleep right here. They are very close to that dry riverbed I was telling you about, which is only about 100 yards down below them here. They may end up going into that riverbed. The groundwater table is very high, so even though it looks like a dry riverbed on the surface, the water is still flowing underground. And so that section of the river will be nice and cool with the water flowing underneath the sand. Kevin, no, it doesn't look like it, and last set of tracks that I was following definitely didn't have the male with them.
Copy, thanks.
I'm not surprised these lionesses are so sleepy now. They have covered quite a distance overnight, and of course there might have been some running around when the male lion met up with them. They may have even had a number of attempts on prey. We saw on a couple occasions where their tracks just crossed straight over the road, which is usually a sign of them stalking prey, and so they may have had to expend quite a bit of energy in trying to tackle prey and were unsuccessful. Just remember that lionesses are only successful about 40% of the time that they chase their prey. So they'll have more misses than hits and burn up a lot of energy every time that they hunt. So they are set for a long day of snoozing, that's for sure. So beautiful when they put their heads up and glance over at us. Truly an absolutely stunning cat. What a privilege to be able to come out here and track them like we've done, and to spend time with them like this. So we've certainly done well with the lions, everybody, but I really hope that we might be able to, in the next track and search safari, be able to potentially track down rhino or elephant, possibly even a leopard. Well, that would be really trying to shoot the lights out with that one. But thank you to everybody that joined us on this morning's very exciting big game search. I hope you've all enjoyed it. We certainly have, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one. Have a magic day.